Hello. And I should say welcome to another live stream. Today we will talk about permissions. Now, I have forgotten to pull up my little script that I wrote, so now I'm pulling that up. How's everybody? So, first of all, this is mandatory since we don't, most people don't know what Momen is. Momen is a full stack, no-code web app builder. And we are very good at backend, basically. Sometimes, well, a guy's told me that I should just call this thing, what do you call this? The tagline should be build your MVP and scale it. So I guess, yeah, let me know how that sounds. Oh, hello, Cappy. I suppose that stands for capybara. Being really cool and stuff. All right. So why do we have to talk about permissions? The point is, most of our applications dealing with data, and usually most people in your application, most users in your application should not have access to most of the data. And an easy example would be, I don't want to see other people's order history, right? So if I am Yao Kai, I don't want to see Harry's order history because that's his private information. But at the same time, if I'm not necessarily an admin, if I'm customer service of a particular e-commerce website, yeah, I should be able to see and make modifications to that order. And similarly, if I placed an order online, I shouldn't be able to modify that order in terms of like the actual amount of the order, let's say the items in that order. So those should only be modifiable by the customer service agent. So that is how we think about like data permissions. So last time we built a little AI agent and then monetized it. So that is, hold on a second. So, I'm sorry, I'm back. So the idea was that you would create and create an account, and then depending on whether the account has a paid order, which is somewhere here in the order information, right? If an account has a paid order, then we allow you to run the AI agent, which is controlled on the front end actually. That's actually controlled over here, which is a terrible idea. I just did it so that I can show you what it's like. Right? So in here, if you have paid, then you would start the conversation. If not, you would just go and collect the money. But to see how that is insecure, so let's do something. First of all, let me reset all my, do I have anything configured here? No, okay, just get rid of it. So that would be what it looked like, and even worse, let's turn that on for the anonymous user too. And I will publish that. That resets everything back to like, everybody can actually look at or use this particular AI agent, the YouTube helper, right? So yeah, it is true that up on here we have let's log in again. Let's do, which one is it? Let's do this guy maybe. That's Zhang Yaokai 1, I think. Who's this? Count 2. You can look at it here actually. Zhang Yaokai 1. Okay, we'll log in as Zhang Yaokai 1, and I have a horrible password, password. You can try that out yourself. Okay. This one has a completed. Well, that's not actually good. Let's do this one. So we have a pending order, so we haven't actually paid, right? We have a pending orders 03. That would be, who's that? 03 Zhang Yaokai 2. We will log in again. Okay, we log in, and I forgot what password I have. Let's just do the simple thing. I'm gonna register an entirely new account. Now Zhang Yaokai 6. And the password is just, again, password. I forgot. They should all be the same. Okay, now I registered. Now look at this. If I do, if I go like, draw something, that's what we had last time. You notice that there was no request sent, so that entire check was on the front end. Now, if I now logged in as Zhang Yaokai 1, which has a paid thing, and I go like, draw me something, right? Now, if we go to here, I click, see, that now executes, so that's create conversation on the AI thing, right? Now, what if we just copy this? What if we just copy this entire thing? That's the same request, draw me something, you see that there? Just copy this. And we run that somewhere over here. I really need a thing to edit stuff. Okay, the content looks like that, and the thing that controls who you are is actually here in the authorization. I just get rid of it, and then I run that. And you see we've actually created a conversation, and actually that resulted me using tokens. It says conversation number 46, and if we go to the database, guess what? The latest one is number 46. It has no account ID because I have not put in a bearer token. That has consumed me how much? About 15,000 tokens. Okay, so obviously we don't want that to happen. We want that to be limited to only paid users. So how do we do that? Now, things we can use for that purpose is, for example, you first have to control you have a couple concepts. You have the roles, which you can control over here. You can add different roles. And then in the roles, the basic two, which we give you by default, is anonymous user and logged in user. Anonymous user are the ones that don't have a bearer token attached to it. And a logged in user obviously is when you have that bearer token. A bearer token is just something that is generated on the server side, sent over the web, when you log in, and then you could continue to use that token every time you make a request, so the server knows who you are. The bearer tokens, they expire, which you can set over here. So this one means that it just lasts for a day, and a bearer token is non-forgeable by the client. If you modify the content of it, then the digital signature won't match, and the server will reject the bearer token. Okay, so that's how we deal with roles, and then obviously we need to control. We control the access to, in this case, the AI agent, but also we might want to control access to individual tables, and that is what we're seeing here. On every one of them, you can see that you can control all the tables. For each table, you have a bunch of controls for read, create, edit, and delete, and that is true for every single table. Some of the tables, for example, this one, you have no control over because that's because like you cannot by default it's turned off. You can't create anything because those are system records. System tables. But for this example, YouTube idea, this particular table is created by me, and therefore you have all the different permissions, and you can control that by each field. So what this mean here is a logged in user, that's a role here, a logged in user has read access to the title field. That is how you read it, right? And then if I uncheck this, that means a logged in user does not have edit access to transcript field. So you cannot modify the transcript field whenever you make a request. And if you do, you get an error. And for delete, obviously you don't have a concept of a field, because then you're deleting the entire column, the entire row. And these two basically controls some aggregations. So if you turn these off, then they cannot count or run sum, average, max, min, and all that stuff. Okay, and down here is a bunch of advanced configuration, which we'll get into later. So that is how you control like the access to a table. Now, similarly, for each of the primitive that we provide, such as TPAs or action flows or AIs or payment, these are controlled by these checks. So this means a logged in user can run Gina Reader, and a logged in user cannot run any action flows. A logged in user can run YouTube Helper, and a logged in user can pay me both as one-time payment or recurring payment, but it cannot issue a refund, which would have made no sense, because you don't want people to take money out of you without you having some say to it. Okay, so that's how this is configured. So I just demonstrated you, like, you could hack it through the API, right? You could just run it and start consuming. You can actually also get to the result of this thing if you want, but that is not good. And even worse, at the moment, the order table has no special permissions set on it. So really, I could just change. I could just change. I can create a row on here, and then also set the status to completed when I start. So I don't even have to pay. Now that is clearly not what we want. So in order to show you how that works, let's just get out our trusty right, so that is how you would hack it. So let's log in as my new self. I think Janaka 6. Right, and then I'll go log in. That takes me to here. I say draw pictures. And once we click, it takes me here, and that issues a order. That creates an order, right? And to look at more nicely, insert order. This is what it looks like. So let's read this. Insert order, and the contents were status equals pending, USD cents 500, blah, 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 blah. Okay. Now, what if I change this to not pending, but completed, right? So that would be very bad, but you can do that at the moment. So let's just copy this. Go to here. Modify the only thing. Oh, that's wrong. I should copy this as bash. Okay. So let's just change this to completed. Okay, so the idea is if I don't have a completed order, then whenever I try to do anything here, it would take me to this, pay me $5, right? Now, what if we just create an order that is automatically paid? Okay, you can see that's now successful. So we refresh this page, and then we say draw pictures. Whoops, right? So that's bad. It now ran it. So people can just hack me simply like that, because they're able to create an order that's already completed. Right? So first of all, let's delete this row. That's something you don't want. And secondly, how do we stop that? We would go to anonymous user. First, we will forbid them from creating orders at all. In fact, they shouldn't be able to do anything. Well, maybe they can read, but yeah, so they can read, and also they can only read, like, they can only read rows that belong to themselves, which doesn't exist, right? In your logged in user's ID is going to be no, and your current rows accounts ID, right? So that, I think in this case the logged in ID, you can't actually have we have something that's odd here. So yeah, let's just say that anonymous user can't read any orders. So let's get rid of this to something that's always false. Say, yeah, current rows ID is no, which can never happen. So that prevents the. We'll also get rid of their account, so they can't do anything. They can read, but we have that all filtered out. And secondly, we need to go to the logged in user and then configure the correct things. So can they create orders? Yes, they can, but they can only create orders where their inputs account is themselves. You don't want them to create orders for others. Secondly, their inputs status is pending. You can't create anything that's not pending. Okay, so let's try that out. Once I have this created, what happens? I have this rule set. Still doing the publishing, would take a bit of time, but okay, that's done. So now let's run this again. we just ran the same thing, right? We said the status is going to be completed as soon as we start. Create, boom, we got table access error, right? So you got an error. So you know, user 7 has no permission for insert on order, so you cannot do that. But what if we now change this to pending? I might have, it might have been a good idea for me to use a thing that's not a command line, but sorry. Here we go, it's inserted. So you can insert something that's pending, but you cannot insert something that is completed, right? If you have any questions, don't hesitate to stop me. And that is how you prevent people from just randomly creating things that doesn't match what you have in mind. And in fact, you can have very complex rules. For example, it could be like the orders will be tied to a particular product, and then the orders amount should be same as the product's price, right? So you can do something like that. But we're not going to demonstrate that, but this is how, in essence, you prevent people from just messing up your database. Okay, similarly, we also, let's do something that's more, let's do something that's more involved. For example, I don't really want people to look at my account at all, other than myself. So in this case, logged in user's ID is equal to, the current row here is account table ID. That's good. Next thing, do I want them to edit anything? No, I only allow them to edit the account if you are that person. So, and the other thing is, don't worry that if you're a editor of the application, you can always edit things in the database tab. In that case, it bypasses all the checks because you are the owner of the application. And what can they change? They can change username, blah, blah, blah. Sounds about good. You cannot delete anything. Maybe I don't want you to count on anything either. So that would be much safer. Also, YouTube ID, though this is really a system table, I don't want you to change anything. So we will get rid of everything here. You shall not create new YouTube ideas. You should not edit it. You should not do anything like that. And conversation here as well. You should only be able, this is really business logic specific, because there might be cases where you do want them to have access to the to your conversations with the AI. This should really say AI conversations, but yeah. And okay, I'll let them read and all that, and messages similarly. So go through each table and really think about who you want them. And also, I don't want you to, delete your order at all. I don't want you to be able to count your order. Maybe I want you to count your order. Yeah, and also in terms of read, you can only read your own order. Again, current rows, data, accounts, ID, right? So those are the things you have to be very careful about. Refund, yeah, you can't create yourself. Recurring payment, you can't create yourself. Those are all created via the payment, the payment action. And okay, so this is how I would set up the permissions for the tables. Now, next thing, in terms of the YouTube helper AI, couple of rules. First, you should not be able to access it if you don't have a paid order. Secondly, you should only have, let's say arbitrarily, let's say you should only have 10 tries, right? Every month you get 10 tries, no more than 10, because this thing costs money. So let's configure that. So first of all, your orders count is greater than or equal to 1. So you have at least one order. But also, you need to have paid in that month, and it has to be completed. So status equals completed. Again, we don't yet have enums, so that is unfortunate. So created at, maybe let's do, created at equals beginning of, we have a bug. Whoops. We have a display bug. That's not good. But I can get around it here, but it's annoying. So 0 months ago, on the first day, and 0th hour, 0th minute, and 0 seconds. That means the beginning of this month and at hours 000. Okay, so that's what it is. And wrong thing. The created at is greater or equal to, so it's created, whoops, that'll be this. The order was created later than the beginning of this month at the first day, 0th hour, 0th minute, and 0th second. That means I have paid this month. And we'll add the second condition. That the status is completed. Okay, so that is a number of orders. That means this basically says I have paid this month. The second one will be, well, I don't want you to use more than 10 times. So whenever you invoke an AI, you would create a conversation. So we'll go to the conversation count, and that count is going to be less than or equal to 10. We can only, let's do 5, so I can show you, or actually 3, because easier to show you, otherwise I have to keep clicking and wasting my AI tokens. So we can do at most 3 invocations in 1 month if you paid, right? So similarly, you would say that the number of accounts after the beginning of the month, which is similarly here, you go to 0th month, first day, Okay. That's the condition. So let's try it out. Does it work? All right. So that's now done. Let's go to find my account. My account is number 6. Number 6 has no paid orders, right? So you can actually look at it here as well. You don't have to go on there. So your my number 6 has 2 orders, and let's see. Now we have control key got stuck. Yeah, so in this case we just have like this is Jiang Yaokai 6, right? And both of them in pending, so that doesn't doesn't help. The payment record is there, but the payment is also pending, so that doesn't matter. So if we created a new one, so in this case, I shouldn't be able to do to do anything, right? So if I go to Jiang Yao Kai 6, password, login, and I do whatever, that takes me to, I have to pay. So let's now pay and try it out. So we'll do 424242, 424242, 424242. That's the test account in Stripe, in case you wonder. So we'll now pay for it. The payment has succeeded. And I refreshed because I never, the callback usually has a delay. So let's check on the order. So that's a completed order, right? So now I can invoke the AI exactly 3 times. So let's try that. So 4 picks, 1 click, that ran. Click again. That ran 2. And click again. This should run as well. And this would be the last one we have access to. So now if we click, it should fail me. Oh, whoops. Let's see. Did I configure something wrong? In terms of conversation, we will register. Okay, so that seems a issue here. Got 1, 2, 3. 3 conversations. And I'll get rid of this simply because. And I'll get rid of this simply because. Get rid of this. Yeah. Okay. So that should now just work. This. Yeah, so now this just runs. I think there was a count clause. There's an issue with a count clause, so that's unfortunate. Should have been more careful not to change code late in the night. We'll have that fixed, and I'll also post about why it was broken in the comments, so you guys know why. And okay. So next thing will be like the common pitfalls. The common pitfalls is one, obviously, as we just saw. People usually limit access only through front-end checks. Front-end checks are nice for a user so that they don't get hit by an error. They will, you smoothly take them to a predefined destination so they can pay you or something. But you always need something in the back end to control things, because the front end is never trustworthy. People can change anything on the front end. And also, don't put your keys on the front end, right? So one common thing I see people do is they will have an API and say you have header, let's say we have something like, authorization, and it's some kind of header. Okay, fine. And then if you invoke that key, let's see if I can just do that. Add more actions. missed something here. Edit. Mutation. No need for that. No need for that. We'll just put a data here, right? So we'll have another remote data that comes from, forgot how to set that one. Custom remote data, sorry. It should just be called like, yeah, Gina reader. Okay, now you have the URL here, say hello.com, right? And then you put anything here. This will be sent over the network, and once anyone sees that, they can use the same key without your knowledge, because now they're in possession of that thing. So the correct way of doing that is you set a default value, something default, right? So that will be a default value, and this way you don't have to send anything in here. In here you'd be like, okay, this is only duck hard enough because all the information is already there. And then that means your secrets, like the things you really should keep to yourself, things that you keep on the back end, is leakable through documentation. I mean, in this case, you're thinking that the obscure part of your mechanism, for example, the URL, the complex handshakes and all that things, they can leak through documentation, right? People can piece together that. They can leak through an employee turnover. An employee knows about this mechanism that you thought only your organization knows, now is leaked out. The code repositories, well, in this case, we don't have a code repository, but if you gave someone access to the read-only version of your project on Momen, then they get to see how things are set up. Now that knowledge is now leaked out again, and via social engineering too. Like people just can ask your employees, like, how do you do this? How do you do that? And they tell them. So there's a guy called Khrushchev. So Khrushchev has made this principle saying that the fundamental of a secure system is the system is a real secure system is that if everything except the secret key is known about the system and is still unhackable, then that's a secure system. Otherwise, it's just you're just fooling yourself. For people that's reasonably determined that they will be able to hack your system and change your data and do all kinds of crazy things. So that I've seen people do other things as well. So like they would create an action flow and do a bunch of things and rely on the fact that other people don't know the UUID of this particular action flow, and no, that's bad. Also, the triggers, the address of the trigger is not secure. People can see that. The only way to really make things secure, in this case for the Stripe paybacks, we actually check the digital signatures for you. But if you were to design something, you may want to do your own digital signature. But if you don't want to do that, well, then the callback address now becomes, the URL now becomes part of your secret. You have to guard this as if you were guarding an authorization token. not even worse, because authorization tokens expire, these don't. So it's like even worse. It's guarding your password almost. Yeah, so the next thing is like how you manage your keys, right? One way I would do it is that I would create a table called like secrets and turn off access to all the external, I'll just create a table, I'll call them secret, right? And then within that, I don't know, maybe just a key and a value, and I'll look up them by key and value. And in the permissions, I turn it off for every single person. Nobody gets to see anything. Just turn everything off. That's one simple way. And here too. Okay, so that is how you. Hold on a sec. Got some issues with my microphone here. Okay, so next steps, I guess, try to make a secure application yourself. For example, in Momen, and also the other way is like try to attack, Momen.app, I suppose, because you can see the APIs. I think we have configured it securely enough, but also this one is an easier one to secure because most of that is just browsing. We just turn off like update, delete, and edit for all the tables. That's quite simple. But for a more data intensive application, then you need to really think permissions through. That is almost as important as your business logic. And if anything has payment involved, obviously you need to be extra careful. You don't want people to be able to take away your money, obviously. And you shouldn't let them enjoy the things that they haven't paid for. And remember, do not rely on the front end only to secure your application. Okay, does anyone have any questions regarding either permissions, security? I know it's not a sexy topic. In fact, most people are quite lazy and then they just keep everything open in hopes that nobody bothers to attack them. But we've had cases where a couple of our clients got, maliciously attacked. So don't do that. And one thing that I forgot to mention, you can manage your users, and typically this is how we do it. We don't have nice no code ways for you to modify things yet, so we have to do it through this code block, but it looks a little bit bad, but it's not, right? So I'll just go through that with you. So this is our Stripe payment callback. So once you paid, Stripe would call back to Momen and tell us things such as like which order has paid, whether that's successful or not, and this is what we check inside here. And we will update the order to set it to completed. We would then get the order out and in order to find the account ID associated with that order. And now here is basically you get the account ID out, and you run this GQL on the back end to fetch the actual permission row. That row has an ID, and then you would then add that row and the account ID into the table that says that account now has this particular row. In fact, I forgot if I published this. Let's see. Inside here, oh, I don't have actually any users in that row yet. You can manually add them. So in this case, you could add this one here, right? And then you can add them. But if you don't do them manually, you can have things triggering it. It could either be, when they paid, or you can even have a scheduled job to do that. All that is accessible here. We have different kinds of triggers, callbacks, and schedules, and based on database changes. A common way is that you would expire someone's. You would check every night and then expire everybody's, change their status so that people's membership have expired and no longer have that privilege to do the privileged things such as using AI agents. Okay, let's see if there's any questions in the audience. If not, I think we'll call it a day. It was slightly faster than I thought it would be, but that's better than longer. And yeah, try us out at Momen.app, and I will figure out why that check wasn't working. It was yesterday when I was trying it, so that's concerning. Thank you very much for coming, and good evening for the people in the US. How do I stop streaming here? End stream.